So, welcome again to Milano Climbing Expo 2020 from the gym Urban Wall. Nicoletta and Antonella will be keeping you company this afternoon because it's time for the lead semi-finals. It's a sort of a duel, but I think it will be explained. So the two routes are not identical, so all athletes will have to go through route 1 and then route 2. So we have, in this first turn, we have 8 athletes who will become 6 for the finals. And the first to start will be the 2 ladies, Martina De Preto and Federica Papetti, who qualified last night from the qualifiers, in fact. Yes, we're live streaming on YouTube. And of course, the route setters, or the judge, is now whispering something, Judge Gilza. And we have Alberto Nero, Gabriele Martino Sala as route setters. And here are the first 2 athletes, Martina De Preto and they will receive attention, hit your marks. And they will have 3 points touching the route. So let's repeat it. On your marks, attention, go. And off they go. In fact, the 2 athletes are climbing 2 different routes, although they're same difficulty, but different routes again. So it's not a proper dual modality. And as you can see, the reason why they try to speed up is that the height where they get is important, but the time will also be calculated. And so now they really look like they're climbing the same holes. But it's very important in this form of duel to really manage the effort well, so as not to get too pumped. And there's no way to really rest on these routes. They belong to 2 different sports associations. On number 2, Federica Papetti. On number 1, Martina De Preto, qualified from last night. Now, I'll spy the time, 1 minute 30, without ever resting. That's not bad. I mean, they're young athletes, and of course, the first athletes sort of lose and fall off, and so they're being lowered, and no top here, so I think speed will matter. No, it's I'm being corrected, it's actually 2 tops, but certainly it was jolly well done for both of them. And here at the Flash interview corner, we'll hear from them. So, So it's the first interviews in their career, so maybe they're a bit shy. Federica, in the second part, I really tried to speed up as much as I could. And what about you? Well, I did too. Now, Niccolo Balducci on route 2 and Davide Marco Colombo on route 1. And of course, Davide Colombo came second in the Italian Championship this year. Niccolo Balducci, you might have known him from the junior competition. Now, still with Federica, what do you expect on the next route? Did you take a glance of it? No, I was so committed with my route. Okay. Okay, so on your marks, attention, and go. And these are Niccolo and Davide. It's amazing how the first women duel really came down to time. And we saw how the women's route was probably easier than expected for them. And of course, it's going to be speed that tells who sort of passes the round. And as for the gentlemen, the boys, they're climbing pretty fast too. Speed again is important. But of course the overhang is quite marked, so you know they have to think of speed but also manage the route, because it takes a second, not even, to slip, and so we'll see who actually topped the route. And David is a bit late, but this final rush really means Davide wins over Niccolo. Again, the two routes are not exactly the same, so the difficulty is the same, probably well below their capabilities, because I see, you know, they were practically on cruise mode, and of course they have, you know, they have ended their route with a 50 minutes advantage. None of the two seems to want to be interviewed. Now, they were just trying to catch a breath, and now I was a bit tired at the end, but I could recover pretty quickly. And Niccolo, you jumped at the end. Yeah, I mean, it's not a difficult route, but it's a very taxing one on the arms and, you know, going quickly. What difficulty would you say it is? 7A plus, because, but going, you know, quickly, it's always very taxing on your arms. So could you try and go faster? Maybe at the beginning, but where it really overhangs, I kept a good rhythm, of course. They've been pretty good because they managed to balance speed and precision. So the next two athletes, Claudia Ghisolfi and Chaza Kalan. Chaza Kalan from Slovenia, Claudia Ghisolfi, the sister of Stefano Ghisolfi from Italy. Yes, the routes are climbable, so it will be very important. It is very important to climb fast. And in lead, when you climb fast, it is important to clip quickly, never to stop, and never to sort of miss a foot or a handhold, because I saw the level is quite high. And so I think, it will all come down to time after all. So hit your marks, attention, and go. We heard the technical description from Luca Canon-Zardini, who's a former athlete, and he's now commentator for the Italian sports television. And Claudia Ghisolfi now is pushing on the accelerator. Yes, the routes are climbable, but this kind of round, slopey holes requires a lot of sensitivity, because if you climb quickly, you have to be careful not to slip or miss a hold, because that could be fatal. A fall in this case on these routes would mean you failed your round. You failed to qualify. So they are both proceeding almost together. There's support from the crowd again. And Claudia looks like having a tougher time. But again, the crowd offers enough support. But definitely it is Shaza who tops first. And so looks like the route on the left is sort of easier to, not easier, but quicker to climb maybe. And we'll see the rest of the athletes, what they think. So let's hear from Claudia Ghisolfi. So, do you think the route on the left is a bit quicker to climb? I don't know, because I'm not very quick myself. I mean, you should ask Sasha or Shaza, because we'll see the next duel, how it works. I've got 50 minutes to work that out. Okay, meanwhile, we call the two Spaniards, Jorge Diaz-Rullo and Miquel Linasisoro, both from Spain, and they're ready. They can now come in. A round of applause, of course, to support them. So Miguel, okay, that's Miquel. He understands Italian, understands English. His trainer is Italian, Gianni Fagiana, who's now also trainer of the Chinese nationality. So hit your marks, or on your marks. Attention, go. And off they are. I see them a bit cautious. I think, they could speed up, but maybe they'll do that later. Because, again, it's going to be the speed, the time they take to get to the top, that's probably going to sort of qualify one of these athletes, one of the two athletes for this round. Because the holes look large, but they're slopers, so you have to be very precise. Again, you need body tension here, and the legs, the feet must stick to the holes, because you don't want to miss your footholds as you go, because that would actually reduce your pace of climbing and speed. So I see Mikel has this sort of constant pace, but now the overhang is really marked, so body tension is very important here. Miguel follows where the arms go with his feet and top. So Mikel gets to the top quicker. So once again, the impression is that the left route is probably a little quicker, and but we'll see that as the duel sort of goes on. But Jorge, in his turn, really wanted to get to the top. So a good handshake between the two. So meanwhile, I'll call the next two athletes, two ladies. And it's nothing but Anna Stor and Mina Markovic. Here we really have a series of medals. Anna Stor was world champion in bouldering over and over, and Mina Markovic is the history of Slovenian lead climbing. So it will be very interesting to see Anna Stor back on lead. And so, and see, you know, how it goes. Very interesting duel.
On your marks, attention, go. Two athletes who've become parts of the legend of climbing competitions. Markovic won a lot, and Stor won 5 World Boulder Championships. She's here on the lead on a route such as this, where she has no problem whatsoever. You see her progression, she's really fast. And Boulder here teaches you a lot. She's got something to teach us in terms of bouldering, but here too, she's been very strong. Mina is running after her, but Anna is actually going up really fast. Anna is certainly faster, more ease, whilst Nina is struggling a bit. Maybe Anna is particularly fit in this case today. She's already finished the route. Absolutely great. May I have the timing? 1:30 at the beginning with Martina De Preto. Where are we at now? Mina's finished 1:25, Anna Stor, 1:48, Nina Markovic, who had a bit more of a struggle on the left-hand side. Maybe because of the features of the route. Anyway, the idea of being very fast certainly doesn't necessarily match with lead climbing, so it was a bit more complicated for Nina. Anyway, now we have two Italians, a local hero, Stefano Carnati, and Marcello Bombardi. Two youngsters who are going to duel it here in Milan. Stefano Carnati is right back from dementia senile during Christmas holidays. He would study chemistry together with dementia senile. So he really trained also during his holidays. So on your marks, attention, go. Marcello starting really fast. Wow, lost a bit. He didn't clip properly, and Stefano therefore is right behind him. Let's say that Marcello here has the advantage of having been in Rockmaster 2 as a competitor where he struggled with the strongest in the world. He's one of the strongest in Italy, so he has more experience than Stefano on these types of competitions. We saw the first clipping. Marcello failed, and this obviously steals you off a few seconds. Yeah, the speed Marcello is going up at is incredible, but Stefano is following through. And as Canon was saying, obviously maybe Stefano Carnati has a bit less experience, even though he's absolutely strong on a rock wall. And Marcello finishes with the time which also Stefano reached the top really quickly. I noticed a strong difference between these two and the two Spanish athletes before. Let's try and give the time in. Marcello Bombardi, 1 minute 11 and 9, and 1 minute 18 seconds for Stefano. Maybe we can give you something more about the timing. 1:29 for Niccolò Balducci, Bombardi 1:11, 1 minute 11 seconds. Michael 1:43. And now we have Marcello basically dominating, whilst 1:43 for Federica Papetti as far as women go. Chasa Kalan 1:42 and Nina Markovic 1:48. And then what else would we have? Well, that's it. So Stefano, tell us something after this first duel. It's always difficult to keep the rhythm and actually clip at the right time, because obviously you're a bit too up, a bit too down. So obviously clipping is very important when you have to be that fast. So good luck for the next duel. Now we have Laura Rogora and Anak Verhoeven. A big applause for Laura Rogora, who's already qualified for Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. So she's focused on that, obviously, at the moment. So on your marks, attention, go. We're not ready yet? Laura Rogora is a bit too short, so she's short, but she's absolutely great. Okay, here she is. Laura made it. Attention, go. And Laura is going up despite being so much shorter than the duelist. She starts really fast. Sure, Laura is going up really fast. She has a good feeling with this type of duel. I've seen her at Rockmaster, and she was incredible with her determination and her speed. At the same time, Anak is obviously a great athlete, and she's picking up. There's a big difference compared to the athletes we've been seen before. They seem to be more agile and even faster than the previous athletes. Laura's doing very well. Anna is lagging behind a bit in the big volumes, but I guess we're going below 1 minute here with Laura Rogora. Incredible. Come on, Laura, go. Absolutely great. Laura Rogora closes her route at 1 minute 8 seconds, followed by Anak Verhoeven with 1 minute 12 seconds. So Laura is currently first in the ranking. Obviously, the sum of the two duels will make the difference. We'll have to see what happens later on. Maybe just a brief chat with Laura. So Laura, Spider-Woman is the right term for you. Yeah, the rhythm was great. Yes, the route is quite easy, so we both went up pretty fast. It's a bit more difficult to clip because there's lots of clipping along the route, so that's what you have to focus on. Anyway, great, and congratulations. Good luck for the next duel. The last two are Stefano Ghisolfi and Jorge Verhoeven. The last two semi-finalists. Stefano Ghisolfi doesn't need any particular introduction. On your marks. Attention. Go. Clearly, athletes during this season are not really totally fit because December and January in general is a period of time when athletes relax for a while and have some rest. Jorge Verhoeven is doing quite well, but maybe is not at the top of his fitness. With the European Championships in March this year, they obviously have to train and they had to start in advance. So our athletes are going to be ready for tonight as well. We should also say that now athletes dealing with World Championships are a bit more used to fast climbing because for the Olympic Games, speed has become a must, an important challenge to be able to qualify for the Olympic Games. So all athletes, also those who mainly focus on bouldering and all lead, focused on speed. And Jorge Verhoeven actually closed before Stefano, who gets there now. Here to the left route seems to be slightly simpler. But both males and females, the timing is the most important thing. You have to be fast and you have to clip fast. And being fast at clipping seems to make the difference in this case. In some cases, the technical clipping creates some of the issues. Stefano, can you come for a brief moment? Hi, Stefano. Your initial feeling? Stefano is 1:26. How did it go? Well, yes, I'm training a lot on speed, lead, and boulder, and this combines two of them, so it's a further important piece of training for the Olympic Games. I'm just joking, obviously it's a joke, but it's great to be here. It's great fun. I obviously should have gone a bit faster. And I will have to be a bit faster on the left-hand side route. So thank you very much, Stefano. Thanks to Stefano Ghisolfi. The magic word you hear a lot this year at Milano Climbing Expo 2020 is Olympic Games. Obviously, sports climbing, for those very few who do not know this yet, will officially, for the first time in history, be part of the official program of Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, the Summer Games. Obviously, this is extraordinary for the whole team and for teams globally, because all nations can come with two athletes. We have Fossati and Rogora from Italy for women and men, and in March in Moscow we might have the possibility of having other athletes getting into the Olympic Games. Thanks to Davide Battistella, the president of FASI, the new president, Davide Maccioni, who's the sports manager for the junior team we saw yesterday with many of the athletes. Mr. Battistella, this is a turning point. Tokyo 2020, unavoidably so, is changing this discipline, at least slightly. And this must be particularly important for somebody like you who's been amongst the pioneers. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, absolutely. This is a great satisfaction for all of us. The idea of actually getting qualified for Tokyo 2020 is extremely important. It's going to be an historical event for Italian sports climbing, and it's obviously something special for me because obviously I followed the initial international competitions in Bardonecchia here in Piedmont in Italy, and so this is obviously interesting. With Ludovico Fossani and Laura Rogora, two great athletes, and we hope a third athlete after the European Championships we'll have in Moscow in March. We might get a third person in the ranking. We're very satisfied. Yesterday we were talking about this drinking a beer, that, you know, we shouldn't be surprised about the fact that climbing has become part of the Olympic Games. First, because we will have breakdance as well as surfing. So the Olympic Games are opening up to new sports. And also everybody will be able to participate in the Olympic Games marathon. I mean, I myself might decide to go, and obviously climbing is one of our natural gestures. This morning we saw, you know, two elderly ones who got midway to the boulder. Well, yes, it's what children learn when they learn how to walk. You know, first they go on all four and then they start holding on to something to be able to start walking. Obviously, we will have more and more kids, thanks to the Olympic Games, who will give us the possibility of having new athletes in the future. New kids who will learn these activities on the vertical wall. An evolution in this respect will be able to provide us more visibility, and what needs to be developed even more is our presence in schools, because there's already a strong interaction between schools and the sports world of climbing in France. Here in Italy, in many cases, we're still lagging behind. And instead, you know, pupils would really like to come here climbing. Well, this is obviously, yes, extremely important, and the Federation is trying to do its best. I mean, we've started just a few months, and the idea of spreading climbing into schools is obviously something we're very much interested in, especially when the kids are really young. In France, we know that in nursery schools and also in primary schools, we have climbing walls in very many schools because obviously, as I said, that's a natural gesture for children. Here, obviously, kids can go skiing, can do lots of different sports, but they can also come climbing. So our commitment is that of entering the world of schools through our trainers in cooperation with PE teachers so as to actually further focus on climbing.
So I'd just like to point out that, of course, we're having this break because athletes need to rest before their second round and second route um, before climbing it. And so I just wanted to say that after the interview, there will be the second round of semifinals. So the athletes who climbed Route 1 will now climb Route 2 and vice versa. And going back to the interview, I was quite thrilled at the idea this is the commentator asking the sort of asking the people from the Italian Federation of Sports Climbing, what about the Olympic Games and the younger climbers. In fact, the younger climbers qualified for semifinals and we hope for finals because their level is higher and higher. It's a growing group and that's very important. So we hope they will grow from here to 2024 and as of September we'll have a sort of a quick evolution, and in Paris 2024 we will have an Olympic medal for speed and one combined for lead and boulder. So it is important to work now so that they be ready for to qualify for 2024. As we said the word speed, Ludovico Fossali appeared. He, of course, has qualified for Tokyo 2020 for speed. What happens is that the sort of new sports must gain ground. And so this year, climbing will sort of award one medal for a combined lead, boulder, and speed. And of course, we have a world champion in speed. So now you're going to Tokyo, but you must also think of Paris. Well, I think I'll take one step at a time because already going to Tokyo is a great result and it won't be easy. For 2024, there's a bunch of the new athletes that, I'll have to beat to, qualify. But of course, my desire is to be there and do well. And as I asked you, how did you start? And you said you started climb at home, climbing, over the fridge, the kitchen walls. And I know it's, parents are terrified, and fair enough so, but of course, it's what every child would do, isn't it? Okay, so you, Ludovico and Laura Ogura will be the first two, or are the first two to qualify. And so, of course, you'll have to, you being a speech specialist, will have to sort of specialized in boulder and climbing too, and boulder and lead. Yes, in fact, I have to train in these two latter disciplines, but I'm training and I hope to improve. Now the official competitions should start, and so what are the nations you sort of fear most, to use this word? The Japanese are very strong. They're very strong indeed. And then, of course, Adam Ondra and the Germans. And maybe with Boulder or Lead, they have an advantage. But I'm not discouraged by it. Okay, so great round of applause, and wishing you all the best for, your participation. And now we ask to the president of the Italian Federation of Sports Climbing, what about the Olympics? Will that be a turning point from the point of view of sports policy? Well, we've started already thinking of 2024, of course, because all the world is doing so, and we have now Tito Pozzoli, who will think of Paris 2024, and the new technical director will start this year to gather a new bunch of athletes, young athletes, who might participate and take part in Paris 2024, because you can't sort of expect the Olympics to be prepared at the very last moment. It's a journey, a tough journey that the athletes go through and the sort of officials go through. And so I think the great achievement by Ludovico and Laura to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics is really very important, and also, showed clearly that sports climbing is ready and will have to work tough to, bring medals to Italy. So we have a great feeling with the Olympic Association, and I think, there's a lot to do for Paris, but we're now focusing on Tokyo, of course. Of course, the European Championships in Moscow. And so the journey to Paris 2024 has started yesterday. Yesterday we presented the Olympic Games to the athletes. And so we've started the journey already. Okay, so wishing you all the best. It's a great honor to have had you here and to be able to talk to you. Route to Tokyo. Yeah, well, we have a little time left, and I think I heard you were talking about the Olympics and Tokyo, Paris, but Olympics is the tip of an iceberg, which is becoming a very broad basis. So we enter these cathedrals of sport, such as the Gym Urban Wall here in Milano. And what are, in your opinion, the fundamental steps to have this movement, as I call it, this bunch of young athletes grow? Well, we had important objectives in order to take this route and, engage in this journey. As I was saying before, we've been working for 7 months very hard. Our priorities were, to focus on having proper organizational headquarters. That was very important, to have a structure, a point of reference and operators that can interface to, all the sports uh, associations. And Milano was chosen because it's the beating heart of this sport and in Italy, and so we're very happy. But the main objective is that of becoming a national federation in a stricto sensu, where the only discipline in the field of sports climbing. And of course, we must be very reliable, professional, and of course, you might have read in our press releases that we've acquired sky running too as a sport, and for us, it is a strengthening of our structure, which is ready to become a sort of an international reality. So we hope, we will be recognized in all our specialties, and that will be, we will have the possibility of sort of count on resources to work properly, because the ideas are all very well. The athletes, of course, train, but they need to be supported. They really need to be supported. And so, we must keep abreast of times. And I think the achievement that Ludovico and Laura did to qualify is amazing. But there's family working and spending money there, and there's a world of supporters that help this result. But if we want to move on, we have to give, realistic answers, and we have to become a national federation. So we're pressing at the Italian sort of politicians, and we hope, we will become sort of an official federation. Yeah, you're a federation we all believe in. There was a deep change. Yeah. It's good to have Marzio Nardi, who is a former Italian champion too. I remember Marzio from the 90s, when we were at the beginning of the sport. So it's so important to have him with us, me as a politician, so to speak, and Marzio as a commentator and former athlete. So we know what we're talking about. We have a lot of passion and motivation. Okay, so I think, fair enough. Passion is always important to have movement and sports grow. So now we're sort of nearly running out of time, so we'll now sort of go back to the dual competition lead. And of course, as you might know, the order of athletes who competed on Route 1 will now climb Route 2 and vice versa. So we now have the second round of qualifications for the final this evening. And again, the same athletes will climb the route, and the qualification will consist of summing up the two times to climb both routes. So I think we can call out the first athlete.
Sure, Marzio. We're waiting. I followed competitions from Bardonecchia to today, and I've noticed the rhythm has changed completely. Everybody was silent then, and climbers were moving really carefully on the wall. Now we have music, noise, speed, everything has changed. Our athletes are back. Federica Papetti and Martina De Preto are going to exchange routes now. Martina will be on the left and Federica on the right. On your marks. Attention, go. To you, Canon. Sure, it was interesting to listen to the representatives of the association. I agree with you. Ever since Davide Battistella has taken sponsorship, things are improving quickly, especially for young people in the future. We're talking about young people, and the two girls who are climbing now are really young. We saw that earlier on the left-hand side, the route seems to be a bit more fluid, a bit faster. But the idea, once again, as I said before, is that of having the right rhythm, especially when clipping, because that really makes the difference in terms of speed. This is a very important maneuver, clipping, because you have to be fast but accurate at the same time. And at the same time, you shouldn't interrupt the flow of your climbing action. So everything has to be finalized to the final performance. Martina has a good rhythm in the second part. She has to accelerate. Here we're playing on much shorter timing, so Martina seems to be faster. Yes, we confirm the route on the left-hand side seems to be a bit faster. The two girls seem to be a bit more tired. Martina has concluded her second route for the duel, and maybe we can hear something about the time it took her. Also, Federica's finished. Obviously, the athletes know they've got to be fast now. They need to accelerate, but at the same time, they'll have to try and be as fluid as possible in the climbing action. Obviously, these two girls were a bit more tired in the second route. Now we can continue with our two male athletes. Again, Davide Colombo and Niccolò Balducci. Niccolò Balducci will be on the right-hand side and Davide on the left-hand side. On your marks. Attention, go. The two Italian athletes are young. They were really fast before. Marzio, as you were saying, climbing has changed a lot in the course of time. And I think these young athletes, compared to those who have a bit more experience, such as Jorge Verhoeven, are much faster. They seem to be more dynamic right from the beginning. It's a different type of training and a different type of coaching compared to ours or athletes who are a bit older. And you see how these young kids can climb really fast in a very dynamic and fluid manner. Yes, they're real 100% athletes. Once we were just focused on our footholds, and the rest of the body was almost forgotten. We wanted to forget it because we didn't want to be too tired. We just wanted to be absolutely light, whilst they instead are very muscular. Yes, because the climbing has changed. Body tension has become of fundamental importance, and physical training has totally changed in the course of time. Niccolo Balducci had some trouble, and in the meantime, Davide Colombo has concluded his route. But Niccolo is actually trying to recover, and here he finishes as well. What I've noticed with the two girls before and the two boys now is that climbing maybe was a bit slower this time, so the second duel is becoming a bit more tiring for them, it seems. They didn't go as fast as they did in the first duel. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Niccolo was saying 7A plus before, but the overhang alone makes it certainly more complex. But let's call Sasha Callan and Claudia Ghisolfi, the other two female athletes. Claudia Ghisolfi will this time be on the left-hand side. On your marks. Attention, go. Claudia Ghisolfi is working with the team of the Army, and she shows that on her trousers. In fact, the military teams support Italian athletes, so they really play a fundamental role in sports in general, in competitions, and in climbing now in particular. Also, Canon was part of the military sports team. So undoubtedly, without the Army, we would probably have more problems. They obviously played an important role in supporting athletes and in creating a future for them. Ludovico himself is in the Army. Also, Marcello Bombardi got into the Army to be able to climb further. We can see the athletes starting having some troubles in terms of being a bit more tired. As we were saying with Luca before, the body tension is of fundamental importance when it comes to these types of routes. Come on, Claudia, it's Sasha who closes. Sasha Callan finishes first, and Claudia Ghisolfi right after her. Yes, Claudia had a bit more problems in terms of tiredness. We've noticed it in both routes, whilst the Slovenian athlete has been faster and more fluid in her climbing action. The timing has improved compared to the first duel, 1:33 and 1:36 for Sasha Callan and Claudia Ghisolfi respectively. Let's say that, you know, it was great fun, but speed is certainly not my strength. But anyway, good feeling, good vibe. Yeah. Yeah, we knew the two routes were different, of course. But given that you have to go really fast, you know, you tend to sort of follow the same type of movements and lots of clipping, and that is a bit tiring. Now we have Mikel Linacesoro and Jorge Diaz-Rulo, the two Spaniards. Let's hope we're going to see at least one of them in the finals tonight. We saw that Mikel before felt totally at ease. Now on your marks, attention, go. And once again, Mikel starts really fast. Jorge doesn't want to lose any ground. Jorge was a bit clumsier on the other route. Now he's more fluid. But Mikel seems to be faster, more dynamic, a bit more fluid. Jorge has a different and slower style of climbing. He's a bit more accurate, a bit more precise, but obviously for this type of competition, this is not going to be easy for him. We see the images on screen, which obviously give us a clear idea of the net advantage of Mikel over Jorge. Obviously, the two timings are going to be summed up. So each of the athletes obviously fights against himself and or herself. And this is something that doesn't usually happen. Anyway, obviously this always gives you a bit of anxiety because you have to be careful on your climbing action, and at the same time you have to be fast. Mikel has concluded. Jorge is still lagging behind, but as we were saying before, he wants to finish it. Congratulations to the director for videos, because obviously we need to thank them as well. They play an important role in the organization of these events. So great, Jorge Diaz-Rullo has concluded as well. He's not one of the fastest we've seen this afternoon, but still, also Jorge has finished. Let's move to the next two athletes, Mina Markovic and Anna Stor. Here they come. Anna Stor was very fast. We'll probably see her in the final tonight. It's unusual to see a boulder athlete competing in a lead competition without any problem. On your marks, attention, go. Anna still is missing 1 foot up. Go.
So Anna seems to start off with an advantage. You hardly ever see such differences. She's very smooth. She looks like she's cruising the route. And she's always in control. And maybe bouldering helps. Because in fact, the duel is sort of, I can't say in between bouldering and lead, but you have to be very powerful to climb quickly and smoothly. On the other side, Mina Markovic, the legend of Slovenian climbing, while Anna is actually matching the top. And Mina Markovic, the legend of Slovenian climbing, is more linked to a lead climbing. And in fact, she is slower, very precise, but not as fast. But of course, when she has to climb lead, pure lead, I mean, she really has very few competitors at her level. Okay, so let's now call Marcello Bombardi and Stefano Carnati. See if the two sort of will manage actually in getting to the top and who will top first. So Stefano will climb on the left and Marcello will climb on the right route. So on your marks, attention, go. They're climbing in parallel now, right now. Marcello has a spectacular climb. He's quickly flipping. Of course, he's got a long experience in Rockmaster, Arco Rockmaster's Duel. So it's really very spectacular to see him climb. Yeah, he really looks like he's swimming, really. But he's got a very powerful climb. At the same time, though, Stefano is gaining ground, is catching up at least. Stefano Carnati has climbed legendary routes from Action Direct to Biographie. He's such a talent in rock climbing, and even in bouldering, he's climbed Dreamtime. And there we are. They both top. Marcello top first. So we will wait for the sum of the two times to declare the winner. But now it's the turn of Laura Ogura and Anak Verhoeven. Now the results, the lead at 5:15, we will tell you who qualified for the finals this evening. So Anak Verhoeven was here last year, but she couldn't compete because of an injury. So on your marks. Laura, of course, is a small climber, so go was declared. They nearly touch each other. Yeah, clipping is tricky at the beginning because there's also safety problems. And of course, clipping actually stops your pace, the smoothness of your pace. It's really good to watch. It's real fun. I know the athletes always say it's great fun. Now Anak is pushing on her accelerator. And of course, also Laura is not such a powerful climber, although she enjoys climbing so much. And she enjoys dueling a lot, although it was Anak who topped the route first. Okay, Anak Verhoeven was really fast, and I'm curious to know if she's got the record. Well, we can always check with the judges. Anyone knows? Laura won 18 and Anak 107. 11 seconds difference. So it was really very, very close. The two were really very, very close. But we'll have the final verdict at 5:15. And the two last athletes are out already, Jörg Verhoeven and Stefano Ghisolfi. So on your marks, attention, go. The commentator is saying there are two favorite climbers. And you might remember Jörg won last year, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how they go. Certainly there will be surprises in the finalists because it's a dual non-dual formula. But speed, of course, impacts qualification, of course, and this is going to be sort of great fun to see. We know that the final this evening was set by Dr. Niel Alberto, and so, it's getting interesting. Jörg has stopped first. And Stefano has stopped now, so we'll see what the difference is. So the semi-finals are over. 5:15, the boulder will start, and we'll tell you who qualified for the lead finals this evening. So half an hour break for a beer, a coffee, and then the boulder competition.